Hey guys, welcome to Crucial Wrestling. My name is Travis. Thank you so much for watching this video. You didn't have to click on it, but you did, and I just want to let you know I appreciate that so much. And if you wouldn't mind, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to just mention a couple of topic ideas that I'm working on, thinking through for some sort of chats, talks coming up in the next few days. So just wouldn't mind hearing your comments or thoughts on those, again, at the end of the video. So stick around for that. Anyway, to get into the main thrust here, I don't always watch Bryan Alvarez. I often don't agree with Bryan Alvarez on quite a lot of things. However, I did see this video about the Casino Battle Royal the other day, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. First, we'll watch the video. I may interrupt it here or there. Anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on his comments because, while I think he's right, I think there's actually a much bigger problem here. And I think what he says maybe even inadvertently gets to the heart or the root of the problem that many people have with AEW and why many people think AEW cannot succeed in its current form. So I'll discuss that, but first, let's go ahead and watch the video.
I was critical of it, but they did explain it later very clearly. But I actually would have preferred if Excalibur had not explained it to us in the moment, because the way he explained it was, remember, he said, after he injured Danielson, he said he was going to retire that move. And to me as a viewer, it's like if this was my job and I didn't watch the press conference, I'd have no fucking idea what you were talking about.
Yep.
Just don't talk about it then. Let them tell the story later, which they did. And then you're not sitting there as a viewer feeling like you're not part of the club, which is one of the things you feel like a lot sometimes watching this show. You're not part of the club. You're not filled in on what's going on. They didn't tell you. It's a secret club. That's the people don't like feeling like they're not part of the club.
No, especially when you're trying to watch your show.
We'll stop it there. So Bryan, again, who I often disagree with, he's talking sense here. AEW absolutely feels like a club. It feels like a very exclusive club, specifically for what I would call internet wrestling marks. You know, the people who follow the in all the the major indie talent and indie promotions and the Japanese stuff, some of the Mexican stuff, and sort of keep up with that almost as if it's their job. For some of them, it is their job. For some of them, it's doing this all day and just following that stuff and commenting on it. And while I believe Bryan's right, I've actually thought about, and while Alvarez, I think, is right here, I've often thought about the inverse of this, which is not only does it feel like a club and therefore you feel sort of ostracized or left out, but I think the way AEW presents itself is actually to feel like a club. AEW's presentation is really often predicated on feeling like you are a part of a club or you need to be a part of a club. Because think about this. How much of AEW's content is based on you, the viewer, getting it, getting the reference, getting the joke, getting the callback to something that happened in Japan or in PWG or wherever 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So much of what is presented in AEW are really callbacks to that and references to those things or inside, jokes from being the elite or whatever. And that's a problem because not only does it ostracize sort of mainstream casual viewers, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I love professional wrestling, but I do not follow nor enjoy or want to follow most of the indie, let's call it what it is, the indie mud show stuff that's out there, nor a lot of the Japanese stuff. Some of the stuff is cool. I'll take a peek in every once in a while, but for the most part, it's not something that I care to follow or care to know everything that's going on with it all the time. And for fans like me, for fans that are more casual than me, it can really be ostracizing, and it's weird when you have something that's sort of exclusive for nerds, right? Like, you have to be sort of nerdy about the product. You have to be nerdy about the genre to enjoy it. And I think that's really where the enjoyment comes for a lot of AEW fans. It's not about the entertainment. It's not even often, even though they say it, they'll always say it is, that it's about the matches or the match quality or whatever. I would argue that more often than not, it's about getting the joke. It's about you feeling like you got it. I got the reference. I got the joke. I get it. I see what they're doing there. Oh, you don't? I guess you're just not as much of a fan as me. You're not part of the club. Yeah, see, we're part of the club. We get it. We knew who that random Asian person that ran down and interfered in the match. We knew who they were, and we knew about the history they had in New Japan in 2017. And if your company is built on that type of presentation, how can you be successful long term? Really, how can you be successful long term? You are almost actively ostracizing mainstream viewers, people who just either do not want to or cannot spend their time following all of this other stuff. Not informing them about your product, not informing them about who these people are before they get there, before they, make these references or these callbacks or these little inside jokes or whatever. Before they send some wrestler that most American fans have never seen or heard of down to interfere in a match or be part of an angle or something like that. And so that club mentality is it's really toxic in both directions, because not only does it ostracize the mainstream viewer, make them feel left out and like, oh, I don't know, so this isn't for me, I'll just go watch WWE. At least they kind of explain it to me. Now, previously, especially under the McMahon administration, a lot of us felt like they over-explained and almost treated us like children, and I can hope with the new, should we call it the Logan Paul Triple H Levesque era, that hopefully some of that talking down to us goes away a little bit, but they do packages, they introduce people, they let you know who this person is and why they're important, and all of those things that are helpful both to the casual viewer, but to remind those of us who watch consistently, like, okay, here's where we are in the story, here's where we are in the program, and this is what's at stake. That stuff is important, and it makes it easier to get into the product. And AEW just isn't doing that. And I don't know how they can have longevity. I don't know how they can grow if they insist on presenting the product this way and presenting their product for this type of fan. So yes, Bryan Alvarez was absolutely right. It does feel like a club often, and a lot of people don't like that. But for the people who do, it's like, well, I don't want to be in your club. I don't like you. I don't like the snobbery with which you sort of cling to your fandom. It's not appealing to a lot of us, and so. Yeah, I think this is a huge problem for AEW. I think it's one of the major problems for AEW. And again, sorry to repeat myself, but I just don't see how this can last, or how it can lead to any long-term mainstream growth in the television market or elsewhere. So anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please comment down below, like and subscribe if you haven't. And before I go, I did want to mention a couple of video ideas that I have coming up. So I'll just list 4 or 5 real quick. One would be Conrad Thompson. Conrad Thompson, I've noticed, is a very sort of controversial figure in the podcast space because of his sort of seeming devotion to AEW or almost shilling for AEW, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. I have some interesting. I feel, of course, feel interest. My thoughts are interesting on them, but I'd like to put those thoughts out there and just see what people have to say. Also, I wanted to talk about WWE's, what I see as WWE's main sort of problem issue in their presentation right now, and kind of I think it'll be called, hey, WWE, pick a lane. And so that should be coming up pretty soon. Also, more on why AEW can't succeed. I know I'll probably come across as an AEW hater. I have no desire to hate AEW. Honestly, I dislike AEW. I don't enjoy the product. I have tried to watch so many times. Tried to give people the benefit of the doubt. Try to go, okay, let me see this with fresh eyes and not let anyone sort of influence my opinion. And I just don't think it's presented well. I don't think it's presented in a way that keeps my interests. It's not what I come to professional wrestling for, and I don't think it's what most people come to professional wrestling for. So I'll talk a little bit more about that and try to key in on some, not just my opinion, but some things I think really objectively aren't good for long-term longevity and growth. Also, I wanted to talk about Cornette and Bischoff as well. Maybe kind of the whole podcast scene, but definitely those two I think are the guys who are making a lot of waves and saying some things that I think, while controversial, I think it'd be interesting to discuss and sort of listen to and sort of break down what it is they're saying and also what it is they're not saying. So that'll be a video I'll try to work on very soon. And also, lastly, one of the things I'm gonna ask you, the viewer, and myself to try to answer is it right to want AEW to fail? Is it right to want AEW to go out of business? Can you make a case for that? Or is it really wrong-headed, bad, short-sighted thinking to want AEW to fail? And I think that's actually a more complicated question than people on either side want to acknowledge. So we'll just kind of discuss that in a future video. So anyway, this has gone long enough. Sorry for that. Sorry for rambling. But thank you so much for watching. Again, you didn't have to, but you did, and I appreciate it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, whether about this video or the upcoming videos that I mentioned. Stay tuned, please. I'm going to get better and better and better. It's just going to, it's going to take doing it for a little bit. So stick with me, and thank you for watching Crucial Wrestling. My name's Travis, and I'll see you on the next one.